President Obama was in office. There was a White House meeting that I was co-chair of on video games, neuroscience, and well-being. About 60 people were there. It was convened by the President's science advisor, and we had about 20 scientists there, 20 government and foundation officials, and about 20 executives from the gaming industry. And what we were doing at that meeting is two things. One, we were trying to have these executives from the gaming industry sit through scientific presentations about the deleterious effects of violent video games so that they can actually hear what the evidence is. And the second thing we were trying to do is to convince them that it may actually be possible to develop a video game that doesn't involve shooting other people, that kids would actually want to play, that may actually have beneficial effects. Now, I'm not sure how successful we were, but it did lead to this initiative in our center. And so I want to just show you what we did and what we found in this case. And this is really a proof of concept that this is a strategy which we think is worth investing additional effort. So let me show you a little bit about what this video game is. The target age group is 8th grade kids. And this was tested in the United States. So here is a little bit about the video game.
When sentient life is detected on the distant planet Kador, a spacecraft containing 4 robotic explorers is sent to investigate. Their primary mission will be to study the alien culture through the interpretation of basic emotions. Leaving behind its own solar system, the spacecraft begins its long journey to the planet Kador.
So this had to be appealing to 8th grade kids. So these aliens their faces are animated in an anatomically realistic way. You advance through the game through being generous. You use sliders to rate the intensity of different facial expressions. And you're rewarded for responding compassionately. So, coming to the App Store soon. Sorry. So let me show you a little bit about what we found. What we did in this study is we took 200 8th grade kids and we randomly assigned them to play either this game or to play a commercial game that was chosen to be matched on many of the characteristics of this game. We gave them an iPad that was a locked iPad with just one game on it. They couldn't do anything else. And all of their keystrokes were transmitted through the cloud to our center so that we can analyze all the data. And we put them in the scanner before and after 2 weeks of game playing so that we can actually measure changes in their brain, both functionally and structurally. And I won't bore you with all the details, but I will say that there were some dramatic effects that we saw where the kids who played our experimental game called Crystals showed changes in the brain from before to after 2 weeks of playing that actually predicted their behavioral measure of empathic accuracy. This is a measure that we got in the laboratory, and we actually obtained that measure while we scanned the brain using functional MRI. And so we see changes in networks of the brain that are very important for emotion and emotion regulation. We also see that game engagement from measures that we take in the game itself is related to changes in activation in a very important region of the brain called abbreviated TPJ. It stands for the temporoparietal junction. This is an area of the brain that's been implicated in many other studies of being very important in empathy and particularly important in perspective taking, being able to take the perspective of another. And so this is the average amount of game playing was around 20 minutes a day. And so kids played for 2 weeks. So the total amount of time that they played was maybe 5 or 6 hours. And these data show that that is sufficient to produce systematic changes in the brain and changes on behavioral measures of empathic accuracy. Now, no one thinks that these changes will stick necessarily, and this is very much a proof of concept, but it simply underscores the possibility that we can change the brain in unorthodox ways. And it also speaks to the issue of neuroplasticity that I began with in suggesting that our brains are constantly being shaped and we could be more intentional about how they are shaped.